Hi, welcome to the Oracle Recovery demonstration for the Unitrends System Administration course. In this how-to video tutorial, we're going to look at creating an Oracle recovery job. We're going to look at putting back the entire Oracle database, but we're also going to look at granular recovery, which does require the RMAN access. We're just going to prep it so that you can use RMAN to bring back whatever you need through the Oracle recovery itself. So again, it starts off in our environment here. I've got a local source and my target appliances opened up. Once again, you can do this from either appliance. If you have remote management turned on, you can go to your backup catalogs through your remote management on your target. Once again, these are my Oracle backups here through my hot target. Now, we're demonstrating today recovery through the local source, though. It's the same type of recovery. We go to our recovery catalog, and we can see and filter on our Oracle objects. You can see the icons here. Now, once again, anytime you log into your dashboard, you really want to make sure you check for any outstanding alerts. Once again, before you do any type of recovery, you also want to check your active queue and make sure you don't have a bunch of backups running or any other recovery running. Right? Make sure you go to your active queue and make sure you don't see any other Oracle recovery running in there. And also under your Oracle or under your file level recovery, you would see Oracle still mounted in here if you're doing granular. So before you perform any Oracle recovery, make sure you check those spots for any pre-existing Oracle restores that might still be running. You have to tear those down when you're done. Once again, mine are all set. So once again, over here under my backup catalog, right, I'm seeing everything because right now I'm filtered on everything. If I want to drop this down and start to filter on my Oracle assets, I have to know the name of these Oracle assets. I know I have one called Clients Database 1. I've got a full, couple of incrementals, and a new full that ran the other day at 11 o'clock. Right, you can see that inside of the system here. All right. Now, if I take off the success filter here and refilter this, you may see warnings. Okay. Now, I also named all of my Oracle assets for the purpose of this demo with DB1 at the end here, so I can see all of those assets, and now I can break them down so I can see all of their recovery points. The rest of these assets have fulls, and then this full here, it was promoted to a full because of a previous recovery restore test I did to make sure this is all going to work. Right? I had a previous alert in here. What's cool is you can view more alerts, and you can see the alert history that says the Oracle incremental was promoted to a full because there was a restore operation. If you hover over that or move these columns, you might be able to read that whole column over here. It takes some finesse, I guess. Almost. You can hover over it right there, and you can read it as well. Now, you could export this report and read that detail as well, right? But you can see that alert right there, okay? So that backup was promoted. That's why in that recovery catalog, once again, for the clients DB, I do see that it did run a full here on the 9th, okay? And you can see that. Okay, a little bit different. Now, in the Oracle Recovery module, we learned that there's some differences on what you can do from each of these backup types, right? So depending on if you have fulls or incrementals and what type of recovery do you need to do from this Oracle asset. All right, so if I need to put back the entire database, I can do that from a full or an incremental to the same server only. Right, once again, in Oracle, no matter which one of these I try to put back, and I did the clients DB earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and do the order stats DB this time. We'll put it back from its newest incremental. Okay. And first of all, we're going to put the entire database back. And you'll notice for the Oracle restores that there's no setup and configuration options. Once again, it has to go back to the same server. It has to be in the same structure, everything. So you really got to make sure you got your Oracle server up, you got the agent registered back, it's ready to go, and then you're just going to restore your databases back. Get these things back up to date. All right, now that's going to go through the restore process over here. You will see it in your restore queue. You can view the details of it. It is going to create that share off of your Unitrends appliance. So if you go out here, once again, just like I showed you in the backup section, during the backup process, you see this as well too. You see it during the restore process. So out here off of your appliance, now it says it's unfolding the backup set. You can see the details down here. So in this directory now are my Oracle objects that I can use RMAN to recover, right? But it's actually going to use these now once they're out there through the agent process. It's going to restore it into the database environment for me. Right here you can see my envelope and my task and then the data files themselves. All right, so it's going through that unfolding process now. Then you'll see it go through a recovery state where it's actually doing the restore process to the actual database server. Right now it's once again just creating this share. All right, we'll go ahead and let that keep running here in the background. We'll keep an eye on the statuses down here at the bottom and screen lapse those, and I'll comment on those as they go through for you. Also, why this job is running, kind of if you're an Oracle expert, you could be back here on your Oracle backend or in some sort of terminal, looking at this database, checking your database statuses with the Oracle DBA commands, and checking the status of this thing. I'd probably wait to do that once it says it's all done restoring. But it is restoring this to my agent back here. Here in just a minute, it's going to go through the restore process. All right, so here on the back end, if you're an Oracle DBA and an expert, you know what to do next back here. All right. It still is unfolding the backup. Once again, depending on that backup size, the restore process is going to take, pretty much as long as the backup process does. All right. Once again, those are here, and it's extracting the data content now into those package files for you. The same content that Oracle sees on its end through RMAN. Now it says it's restoring the SPF file, so now it's actually going through the process that Oracle does to restore it into the active server. Right? It's going through that process, which tells me that it's dumped out everything that it needs to out here. It's got all of its tasks, all of its control files, and it's actually doing the actual import now into the Oracle server itself. So we'll go ahead and watch those as they keep going through. You'll notice it going through a bunch of different statuses as it brings that database back in. Now it's actually going through and restoring the database itself. This is where it may take a little bit longer, once again, depending on the database size. The SPF file, the control file, those are relatively always almost the same size, and they take relatively the same time. This is where it may take a little bit longer, depending on that database size itself. And also remember that this share remains open the entire time this restore process is happening back here. Right? I'm only showing you this just to kind of show you what happens on the back end. You really don't want to leave that thing open during this process because it is going to tear it down when it's done. Once again, during this process, while this thing is running, I cannot kick off any other Oracle restores. You can only do these things one at a time. Here you can see it's 12:30, and I had an RDR virtual snapshot kickoff at the same time. It's not going to affect my restore or anything like that. It's just going to run on its own. It's already receiving data over there. You can see my active restore here is already done for the Oracle job itself, right? So that tells me that this share, if I refresh this screen, that share should be removed, right? And my Oracle database, it should be up and running and back in production, by the way. All right, the way to tell this, right, is to resynchronize your inventory. There it goes, 28%. Okay. Now, when that's done, we'll be able to go to a couple of different places and check to see if this database is online and everything. And then what we'll also see is if we kick off a group of backups, this database that we just restored, it's going to automatically promote the next scheduled backup to a full. It does that for us. You can see here it's at 83%, almost done. Right now, once again, it's going through every agent, every application, and re-inventorying all their databases and all their assets, virtual assets and the agent-based assets. All right, so that process is done. Now, you can go to the Protect tab, and under that Oracle instance now, you can see the statuses of the database, and it reports that only the ORCL database is offline, and that's normal. It still reports here that they're all online and good. Now, that's one way. Now, you can also go in to your job that contains that database, right? So if we sort here by the agent-based Oracle and we view the details, we can see that that database is a part of that group. And if we edit that schedule and we break down our Oracle instance here, we can see the status of the databases in this screen as well, and I can see that that database is back online, right? Or it looks like it never left, right? Now, I don't want to modify this schedule or change anything. I just wanted to check that status, so I'm just going to cancel that out. And if I run another scheduled backup against this group, right, you'll see over here in my active jobs that these are all fulls. But watch what happens. This backup is going to fail. And it's going to say that there was a restore and it needs to promote the next one to a full. That's how that's going to work. So let's go ahead and sit back and watch these for a minute. Once again, that's the restore that we did, I do believe. All right. And we should see that that process happen here. Here you can see that that backup is done. Now it's turning around and replicating that VMware snapshot. Just a little tidbit, little active stuff you're getting by watching this demo. You can see that replication process turn around and is replicating that VMware snapshot it just ran. All right, but just keep watching these backups for just a minute. We'll check the outcome of these backups. And also, just as a reminder, it is going through the backup process. So out here, once again, there are shares for each one of these databases that I'm backing up right now. It is going through that process. Here you can see a good example of that. As these backups are completing, it's turning around and creating that backup copy on the hot target automatically for you. Now, based on your throttling, you know, and all those settings, it happens immediately after these backups happen, right? Now that these backups are done, though, we can go ahead and continue our restore here. This last one will finish up here in just a few minutes, so I can go ahead and keep moving here. Now, what we're looking at doing next is kind of a granular recovery. Remember, it requires some RMAN skills and some RMAN knowledge on the backside of Oracle to do this. But once again, under any recovery point here, right? Once again, we can filter down to our asset name, even our backup type if we need to. All right, in this case, I'm going to put the accounts payable back. And we're going to take this latest incremental point here. I want to use an incremental for you just so you can see that it creates one job. All right, it doesn't do multiple jobs full and all these incrementals. It's going to synthetically create one job for us. Now, this time what we're going to do, instead of saying recover to recover the entire database, we're going to say recover files here. All right, now, this is going to prompt us to say, do you want to create the file recovery object, right? Which means it is going to mount it off the appliance, and then it kind of leaves it there for us to get our man and do what we want with the objects it unfolds into that share. Right, so here you will see an active job. Hit the queue now for the restore. Right, here it is up here. We can see the active queue for job for the restore. We can view the details of that job. It says it's unfolding the backup set already, which means that if I refresh this list out here, I can see now that this is the new folder right here. Okay. No, is that the new one? There's the new one, accounts payable. All right, so there's the new folder right there being extracted. Here's the new data. Here's the envelope and the task that go with it, and you'll see maybe a couple more of those depending on, once again, what point you put out. It's going to synthetically put that all together for me. Once again, we're going to point RMAN to this point, and using the RMAN utilities, you can do, whatever RMAN and the best practices for Oracle recovery through RMAN are. All right, we're not going to go into that detail. Once again, check your RMAN and Oracle best practices. But this is fully, extracted Oracle backup. We'll go ahead and let this keep mounting here. We'll show you what it's like when it says it's completed. All right, and you can actually go to the recovery tab now. And if you go to your file level recovery, you'll actually see your Oracle objects show up in here once they're done. Remember, we put back the Oracle StatDB. It's in use for backup still right now. That's the one that's still running. We still have the accounts payable that we manually put in here. We're going to have to manually tear down because we're doing our own granular right now. This other one's going to come out of here when this backup is done. Okay, that's in use for backup right now. All right, so now it's gone. So if I go back to the recovery tab, I only see one in there. That's the recovery point that I put in there manually. Right, that's this recovery point now that has been fully extracted out here to this directory for this database. All right. So when I'm done with this, I need to make sure that I tear this down or remove this resource from being used. Now that's going to remove this directory out here, so I want to make sure I'm not in that directory. Make sure you dismount any shares or you're exited from that directory. Then you can go ahead and confirm this change. That's going to go ahead and tear down that recovery point. So now when I refresh this here, eventually when it's done tearing it down, that directory will go away. All right. But anyways, any Oracle restores that you do and complete, you will be able to see those restores show up in your recovery history once again. You may want to sort by start time or end time so you can see your newest recovery jobs. Here you can see the Oracle restore that we did here at 12:30. That's the first Oracle restore that we did. All right, the other one's still running. It's logged. It's actually not logged in here, by the way. I mean, if you look at your Jobs tab, and you go to your recent system jobs, you'll see in here, if you sort it by started once again and look at your newest at the top, you'll see the Oracle restore started here. That's the itemized restore that we did granular. It shows up in the recent system jobs. Here's the accounts payable. Let's go ahead and cancel that restore. Here it's already copying those newest fulls for these databases out to my hot target as well. It's going through 2 of those at a time. All right, but now if I go ahead and look at my reports, I'm going to run the recovery report history for you manually here. Let's go back and make sure we're looking at everything here. Once again, if I know I'm looking for a certain asset recovery that I did, I may be able to type in that database name over here and see that history. I don't see the asset name there. Maybe it's under the Linux server. Here it is right here, 1222. It doesn't say the database name in here. All right. It doesn't in here either. But it does over here in the recent jobs. Once again, if I sort this by started, I can see that a restore for Oracle here And if I expand this out, that was for order stat DB1. I don't see that other one in here, and it might be because I canceled it out before it fully have finished. Right? I tore it down. Right? I went into file level recovery and tore it down. So if I go into my recover catalog again, let's sort on DB1 again here. And let's take the accounts payable one more time from the newest incremental point and say recover files. And let's let this process finish this time. It says it's unfolding the backup set already. It's at 66%. If I go out here and browse to the appliance once again, I see that directory, I see that content, and if I keep refreshing this, I see that growing in size. Okay, you can see that keep growing. We'll go ahead and wait for this job to fully restore, then we'll go in and browse into that directory.